Welcome! The Sun has produced some interesting activity over the last 24 hours, so let's find out what's been going on. Apart from the flares, I was pleased to see that the X-ray background level has increased as I predicted a couple of days ago. See the previous editions of the Sun today. The links to them and my other videos are in the description box below. We've had an M flare, a C flare and a coronal mass ejection, a CME. Unfortunately, at the start of the long duration C flare, both the GOES and SDO satellites go into their spring eclipse periods, so we do not know how big the event really was or where it was from. NOAA tentatively assigned the CME to the M flare in the active region 1176, but I think they are wrong, and I'll show you why. First, as I have said in the past, these long duration events are indicative of a CME, so it was probably associated with the C flare, not the M flare. The M flare was several hours before the CME was seen, and is not a slow coronal mass ejection. Here is a rather beautiful movie from the SOHO-LASCO instrument, showing the CME with the helium-2 image superimposed. There's the CME. Unfortunately, we lose the SDO coverage just at the onset of the flare. But note, the CME seems to be directed more north and east, although it is classified as a halo CME, which means at least part of it is heading our way. Let's see it again. But we do have the stereo B data and can see where the event might have been. Here are several repeats of the movie. Note the brightening in the north in regions 1177 or 1180. That occurs right at the time of the CME and the C flare. I do not think the CME came from region 1176, but from the complex of regions in the northeast. We have two new regions on the Sun, 1180, which I mentioned yesterday, and a new one that is emerging just to the southeast of 1178 and is now labelled 1181. Neither is particularly impressive at the moment. Region 1179 seems to have decayed as it rotates towards the west limb and likely won't have any spots visible by tomorrow. In both the white light and magnetic movies, we can see that most of the magnetic emergence is located in the leading part of 1176, so it will likely be the main flare producer until another region shows more sign of life. Now let's take a closer look at the helium-2 image, and we can see all sorts of filament and prominence eruptions going on all the time. The coronal images from SDO confirm that most of the activity is still in 1176. Combining the coronal images from both stereo spacecraft and SDO show us the whole Sun at one time. We see there are still several regions in the northern hemisphere due to rotate onto the disk over the next few days. Most of them are weak and fairly mature, so I don't expect much in the way of fireworks from them, unless there is new growth in them in the meantime. Geomagnetic activity is still low, and should remain that way until the CME reaches us in a day or two's time, but we don't know whether it will have any significant effects, even if it does hit us. In summary then, activity remains low to moderate. The sunspot number has increased to 104 due to the new regions that have rotated onto the disk. The solar wind speed has dropped yet further to below 390 km per second. We could still get small to moderate flares, but there is a small chance of getting a large X flare. We're slowly climbing towards solar maximum over the next 2 to 3 years, so stay tuned. Keep safe. Bye for now.